This is Radio Taiwan International. Welcome to the news on Radio Taiwan International. I'm Michelle Chang coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. We begin with a look at today's top stories for Friday, January 16th. The US-Taiwan trade deal has promised 15% tariff reduction and most favored status. President Lai Ching-te hosts Japanese lawmakers seeking deeper trade and tech ties. And Washington is framing the Venezuela operation as a warning to China. But first, today's top story. The United States and Taiwan have reached a trade deal, lowering tariffs to 15% without any rate stacking, and secured Most Favored Nation or MFN status on semiconductors and other products, the first country to do so in U.S. tariff negotiations. The cabinet broke the news in a briefing Friday morning, and President Lai Ching-te thanked negotiators for their hard work, noting that the team achieved all four of their top goals. In exchange for lower rates, the Taiwan government pledged to help Taiwanese companies invest $250 billion in the United States, using credit guarantees to support local financial institutions extending financing to investing companies. The cabinet's negotiation team achieved four major goals, said the president. First, securing a 15% tariff rate, putting it on equal footing with Japan, South Korea, and the EU. Secondly, it secured most favored status under Section 232, which will extend tax exemptions to semiconductors and related products up to a limit, while still receiving most favored rates for anything beyond that. The third goal was for Washington to accept the Taiwan model for investment in the U.S., allowing Taiwanese companies to follow their own investment plans with stronger support from U.S. institutions concerning land acquisition and water and electricity infrastructure. This, the cabinet believes, will make it easier for Taiwanese companies to invest abroad, break into American supply chains, and even form clusters. Fourth, the U.S. companies will also invest in Taiwan, improving U.S.-Taiwan trade collaboration. The president said,
investment targets for the U.S. include semiconductors, AI, defense industries, next-gen communication industries, and the biomedical technology industries, among others. In other words, future economic trade and cooperation will be closer. This is a win-win situation for the simultaneous development of the Taiwan and the United States economies.
The cabinet also clarified later Friday that the Taiwan model for investment is an expansion of Taiwan's tech industry and not an industry relocation. Beyond semiconductors, tariffs on other Taiwanese products, including automobile parts, lumber, and wood derivatives, will be capped at 15%, while generic pharmaceuticals, their ingredients, aircraft parts, and some natural resources won't be tariffed at all. While the U.S. has agreed to the deal, it must now be passed by the legislature to take effect domestically. President Lai Ching-te met on Thursday with Japanese lawmaker Katsunobu Kato, a former chief cabinet secretary, and his delegation, welcoming Kato's first Taiwan visit and thanking Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi for supporting Taiwan-Japan friendship internationally. Lai recalled Kato's role during COVID-19 as cabinet chief when he pushed Japan's large vaccine donation that helped Taiwan through the pandemic. Lai said the Taiwanese people remain deeply grateful, thanking Kato and Japan again on their behalf. He also praised Takaichi's repeated international support for Taiwan-Japan friendship and stability across the Taiwan Strait, expecting more collaboration under her leadership to promote Indo-Pacific peace. President Lai cited Takaichi's focus on 17 strategic industries, including artificial intelligence, semiconductors, and aerospace, which aligns with his 5 trusted industry sectors. Lai stated,
last December, both sides also signed a digital trade cooperation agreement and memorandum on cooperation in regional customs, which signifies that there will be greater cooperation in areas such as regional security, economic security, and high-tech industries in the future.
Kato said that Taiwan-Japan ties are close in values, trade, exchanges, and mutual support, citing November's normalization of Japanese food import controls as encouraging for Taiwan's disaster-hit areas. Foreign Minister Lin Jialong urged Japan to negotiate a free trade agreement and an economic partnership pact with Taiwan, as well as support Taiwan's Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP, entry. He also thanked Kato for his vaccine aid and Japan's emphasis on Taiwan's Strait stability. Analysts say the Trump administration's operation in Venezuela aims to curb Beijing's growing influence in Latin America.
The United States operation in Venezuela, codenamed Absolute Resolve, sends a clear message to Beijing, signaling that the U.S. is prepared to use military force to dismantle what it sees as China's growing strategic foothold in the Western Hemisphere. For over 2 decades, China has expanded its presence in Latin America. Its engagement has included oil-for-debt arrangements with Venezuela, infrastructure financing, port investments, and satellite facilities. While framed as economic cooperation, U.S. officials have long viewed these moves in an effort by Beijing to establish geopolitical influence in America's backyard. U.S. officials report that tens of millions of barrels of oil previously bound for China would now be redirected to U.S. markets. According to the New York Times, President Donald Trump's decision was aimed not only at securing Venezuelan oil supplies, but also at disrupting China's economic dominance in the region. The Trump administration has said that countering China's expanding influence was the central factor behind the operation. Trump has since publicly warned China and Russia against involvement in hemispheric affairs. While emphasizing that the United States remain open to business with China, he has made clear that strategic footholds in the Western Hemisphere will not be tolerated. Analysts say the move undercut both China's material interest and its image as a rising power in Latin America. But they also warned that a prolonged U.S. military or political entanglement in Venezuela could create opportunities for Beijing to reassert itself, especially if Washington fails to offer sustained economic alternatives. Joey Chow for RTI News.
The legislature will review the US-Taiwan trade deal, finalized Thursday local time, before voting on the terms. Only after the legislature passes the deal will it have legal effect domestically. DPP lawmakers praised the deal, saying the review process must prioritize national interests and social consensus, though opposition members urged the cabinet to more clearly explain the agreement's potential impacts. International treaties, agreements, and conventions involving major national matters or the rights and obligations of the people can only go into legal effect after review and approval by the legislature, according to Supreme Court interpretation. Opposition parties called for strict review of the agreement, though DPP caucus whip Zhong Jiabing says there is no such strict or lenient review, only fulfilling one's legislative responsibility. He said that if the public consensus is in favor of the agreement, then it should naturally be passed. Zhong underscored that the standards of one party shouldn't matter in the face of ensuring national interest, calling this principle the backbone of legislative duty. Other DPP members have argued that Taiwan's deal is far better than those signed by trade competitors Japan and South Korea, citing a lack of time pressure to fulfill investment obligations and the adoption of the Taiwan investment model. However, KMT Caucus Secretary General Luo Ziqiang expressed concern over the possibility of the deal leading to a relocation of Taiwan's key industries and potential impacts on Taiwan's economy and national security. While he acknowledged that alleviating tariffs was a positive change, he maintained that it was the government's duty to clearly explain the potential repercussions of accepting the act and address the issues head-on. With fraud cases on the rise, Taiwan's Financial Supervisory Commission has begun a pilot program installing camera systems that prevent obscured faces from accessing ATMs.
Fraud cases of illegal ATM use have been increasing. To combat this rising trend, the Financial Supervisory Commission, or FSC, is testing a program that uses facial recognition systems to allow or deny entry to ATM vestibules. Only those with their faces uncovered are allowed access. If any part of the face is obscured, a security alert sounds, and the person will be refused entry. Currently, 3 state-owned and 2 public banks are leading the pilot program: CTBC Bank, Cathay United Bank, E-Sun Bank, Mega International Commercial Bank, and First Bank. The public seems to support the new system, saying that it does more than surveillance cameras and that removing masks or other face coverings should be manageable. According to National Police Agency's statistics, more than 500 fraud cases are handled on any given day, averaging financial losses of about 180 million NT dollars, or 5.7 million US dollars. Investigations show that suspects withdrawing money from ATMs often wear masks or helmets, which prevents their identification. The FSC stated that the pilot program will end after June this year, and the collected data will be evaluated in July. Whether the system will be put to use in the future will be decided after the review, though with fraud on the rise, public interest rates and higher security measures are spiking. Michelle Chang and Amanda Stevens for RTI News.
Thanks for joining me for the news. I'm Michelle Chang. Stay tuned for another 50 minutes of English language features brought to you by Radio Taiwan International. Cash for everyone. The government is giving out 10,000 NT dollars. It's easy to claim. Choose direct deposit, ATM, or post office. Check details at the official website 10,000.gov.tw or 10000.gov.tw or call the free hotline at 1988. Stay alert. Don't trust unknown sources. This advertisement is brought to you by the Ministry of Finance.